1.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the first Shell Employees Credit Union Telephone Town Hall. We are so excited that you could spend your evening with us. I'm Christina. I'm going to be your host for the evening. I was joking with these guys in the room that it's my debut as a radio host, so I play songs on request. Just let me know. That being said, if you have a question for us, you should be dialing *3. So if you have a question for anyone on our team, press *3. What you'll then be hearing is a screener who will get your question from you, and then you'll be put in the queue to be able to talk to all of us. So first, let's start off with who is on the phone that you can ask these questions to when you press *3. Adam, tell us who you are.
Thanks, Christina. So my name is Adam Batasesa. I have the privilege of serving on the credit union board. Been on the board collectively for 15 years. 3 of those years I've been on the executive committee, and I'm your current president and chair. Also, in my daytime job, I work at Shell. I've been there for 25 years, coming up in July. Very excited the times for Shell. I've done all kinds of roles. My most recent role, which is the one I'm in now, I shape fiscal policy. So I work with government to provide some good frameworks around regulations. I'm also very proud to say that my father also worked at Shell for 39 years. He retired about 4 or 5 years ago. He spent a lot of time at the Montreal East Refinery, and he's one of those individuals that moved the whole family out to Calgary from Toronto a number of years ago when we moved our head office. So a lot of Shell history. Thanks, Christina.
Thanks so much, Adam. Actually, I remember your dad came out to the AGM, so that was my first chance to get to meet him and see who he was. And this is going to lead me to my first poll question for the evening. So if you're on the line and you were at the AGM on March 28th, press 1. And if you weren't, press 2. So as you're participating in that poll, remember, you can press *3 to be connected and to ask a question to Adam or to some of our other board members that are on the call. So Tim, why don't you go next and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Christina. I'm Tim Rose. I am a 2-year member of the board of directors, and I have actually been with the Shell Credit Union since I started at Shell back in 2001, so just over 17 years now. I've worked a number of roles, and most recently working with the global pension plans for Shell companies, and have participated on most of the committees of the board, and most recently, and the most exciting has been the work that we've done on the Future Vision Committee. So welcome, and looking forward to your questions.
Thanks so much, Tim. We also have Guy on the line to answer your questions tonight.
Hi, it's Guy Stewart. Thanks, Christina. I've been a member of the Shell Employees Credit Union for almost 40 years. Retired from Shell in 2012-ish, and prior to that, worked at Shell for a little over 30 years in a variety of roles. And I also did 2 terms as an elected member of the board of directors, and most recently I've been involved in the Future Vision Committee as an outsider, but somebody who had so long history with the credit union. My involvement with the Future Vision Committees has been fantastic. It's been a very, very good experience, and it really shows the depth of both management and the board of the credit union. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Guy. So there's over 250 of you on the call right now, so I just want to thank you so much again for being part of this process with us tonight. If you have a question for anyone in the room about the rebrand process, about the Future Visions Committee, I encourage you to press *3. So if you have a question, dial *3 at any time. So let's go on with our introductions and who's around the room in the boardroom. So Denise.
Hi, Christina, and hi, all of our listeners. My name is Denise Yambao. Some of you may know me from my days as an MSR when I started at Shell Credit Union 10 years ago. Since then, I've moved on to other roles, such as being an investment advisor, marketing coordinator, and most recently, the manager of marketing and corporate services. So looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thanks for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks, Denise. Patria?
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for calling in. This is Badria Taha. I'm the General Manager here at Shell Employees Credit Union. And my history with our credit union began 12 years ago as I moved from a great city just north of us and worked for a small credit union there for over 15 years. So it's been a great time, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you all. And I'm so grateful for such a good response tonight at 268 participants so far.
Thanks. Please.
Thanks, Christina. Good evening, fellow members. My name is Talib Daradia. I've been a member for about 3 years. I'm a contractor at Shell. I've been contracting at Shell for a bit over 5 years as an engineering project manager. I like to think of myself as a young professional as well, and I've been fortunate to have also served, like Guy, on the Future Vision Committee. I also agree with Guy's comments about the depth of experience that is on the committee. I'm looking forward to conversing with you all over the next hour or so. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you. And the last person we have in the room, Bruce.
Thank you, Christina. My name is Bruce Wilson. I've been with Shell Credit Union now for 14 years. When they hired me back in 2004, I came as the controller. Since then, I've gone through a few positions, and I am now the manager of risk and compliance. And I've been in this credit union system for 40-plus years.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Bruce. So, everyone on the line, thank you again for joining us. We've had a total attendees number at this point at over 550. So again, thank you so much for joining us on the line. If you have a question, you need to dial *3. If you have a question for any of these individuals, please press *3. You'll be put through to our screeners, and then your question will be put in the queue, and we're looking forward to answering them. I see that we have a question queued up. It is from Wayne. So Wayne has a question about the cost of our rebrand. So, Wayne, why don't you let us know your question?
What was that?
Wayne, we're just wondering what your question is. We see that you have some questions around the cost.
Yes, I do. Yeah, my name's Wayne, and I've been with the Shell Credit Union well over 40 years. Been a member of it, and I worked with Shell for over 30 years. And I'm always concerned about cost of things because things cost money, and I know that the bottom line of it is the consumers always pick up the cost. And I sent an email to the credit union asking that, and I never did get an answer back. So I would like to know, when it's all wrapped up, what is our estimated cost? What is our total cost going to be for this rebrand?
Excellent. Thank you so much for the question, Wayne. So, Adam, I'm going to put this to you first as our board president.
Great. Thanks, Wayne, for the question. So the cost right now is running just a little bit above $100,000. And just to put it in context, that's about a little bit less than 6% of our annual operating cost budget, and which also represents about less than 0.5% of our credit union assets. So that represents the total cost. Also, I will mention that these costs are not just spent without some strong governance. We put a budget forward to the board with some very specific line items to make sure that we were very conscientious about what we were spending. And I'm happy to say that we've met that budget almost to the penny. And we're hoping that this will provide the members the best quality rebranding proposition, and looking forward to your support on the 13th. Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks so much, Adam. Tim, did you have anything you wanted to add as a member of the board?
Hi, Christine. Thank you. I'd also like to point out that the numbers that Adam threw out there around the costs do also include other strategy work that we're looking at. So the rebrand is just one component of our overall strategy that we're undertaking as part of the Future Vision Committee. So it's difficult to get you the exact number for what the rebrand is, but it's within that budget that Adam discussed, and that's for the overall strategy that actually takes us out a number of years into our future. So it's a valuable cost that we have to undertake as an organization, and we believe that we are doing it in the best interest of all of our members.
Thanks so much, Tim. Guy, I'm just wondering if you have anything to add from that cost perspective as a member of the Future Visions Committee.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Wayne, I've got a similar mindset, I guess, to you around focusing on costs. And while I'm not a member of the board anymore, I was very thankful to see the level of focus that the credit union management and board continue to demonstrate around costs. There was active discussions during the Future Vision Committee about keeping cost of consultants down and other so many little things that I saw as an outsider while participating in the committee that made me feel that the money was being well spent and being thoughtfully spent. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Guy. Just a reminder to everyone that's on the call, thank you for joining us. If you have a question, please feel free to dial *3. So *3 if you have a question. Right now we're just talking about the cost. We know that there's an investment we have to make around a rebrand, and so the members of our telephone town hall this evening are weighing in. So Talib, do you have anything to add to that cost question?
Yeah, thanks, Christina. Wayne, I think it's a great question. As a contractor at Shell, I'm always cognizant of cost because of my role. And I would put forward, being on the Future Vision Committee, that the value received from the people we had engaged. When I look at a company like GWP, who's done engagements with rebranding with the likes of ING, I felt like we were getting a really good value for our money. So I recognize that we spend money, but I think, in my opinion, being on the Future Vision Committee, seeing the value we're getting from the caliber of talent, to me was well worth the money we spent. Thanks, Christina.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, again, I would just like to remind everyone, *3 if you have any questions at all. Let's jump to another one of our poll questions. So this one is our question number 2. What membership demographic are you a part of? We'd love to know kind of who is dialing in tonight. If you are 18 to 35, please dial 1. If you're 35 to 45, please dial 2. 56 to 65, that should be 46 to 65. We don't want to miss anyone here. Is 3. And if you're 65 plus, dial 4. We'd love to engage and love to understand who is on the phone with us. So we have another question in the queue. Mark, he has a question around the cost of rebrand again, so not surprising. How do we know that this is the right amount of money? So Mark is going to join us live in just a moment. So Mark, you're on the line.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So thank you for the opportunity. So my question was about the budgeting process. Okay, so I understand that the cost of rebranding has been estimated at about $100,000. That's what Adam just said, and apparently you're meeting your budget. Okay, but what amount of study have you done to check that it was the right amount of money to spend on such an activity? So, i.e., not too little or not too much?
Thank you so much, Mark, for the question. Adam, I'm going to jump to you first.
Great, thanks, Mark. That's a great question and often one that I ask myself. So a couple things we did is, one, we went out and we did a tendering process. We interviewed several contenders to provide us the quality information and, of course, the professional consultations. And based on that, we also saw how much we were willing to spend, and it was quite a spectrum and at the various phases of our consultation. So as you recall, we did a complete survey, we did a stakeholder consultation, and then we did an entire rebrand. And so as we went along, we kept on asking ourselves, was this an appropriate amount to spend to get the quality rebrand outcome that we needed to best reflect the members and what they wanted to see out of the credit union. But I will say that the tendering process was quite exhaustive, and I think I will credit the Shell Credit Union staff and Badria to come up with some finalists. And based on that, it was a great benchmarking to see that for a rebrand of this scale and magnitude, that we thought we were fairly cost competitive on that aspect. Hopefully that helps. Thanks, Mark, for your question.
I'm going to pass the mic over to Badria.
Yes, thanks, Mark, for the question. And just to add a little bit more to Adam's comments, we do have some peers and some other credit unions in the system that we know, and we've had conversations with them. We talk to them also, just to make sure that we're in the right ballpark here and we knew what to expect. So having that internal information and being able to rely on some peers really helped us understand what the costs would be to make sure that we're in line.
Excellent. Does anyone else in the boardroom want to weigh in on that question? No? Perfect. All right, so just a reminder to everyone on the phone, thank you for joining us. Currently over 150 of you still on the line, so we appreciate you spending your evening with us. Dial *3. If you have a question for anyone in the room, please feel free to dial *3 at any time. You'll be connected to our screeners and then put in our question queue. So our next question is from Hong. Hi, Hong. You had a question for us about the future name of our website. So Hong is on the line, and what's the future name of the website? Hong, did you have any other context around your question?
Well, so when I go online, I type in Shell CU, so it went with the old name, Shell Credit Union. So I just wonder what is the new name for the new website if we change the website name.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Hong. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk a little bit about process. Denise, I might jump to you first just to talk about the URL and the landing page.
For sure. So, Hong, what we've done in preparation for this potential rebranding is we've reserved some domain names. So as you know, we have come out with a proposed new name of Park, the Energy Credit Union, and as part of that process, we've done our due diligence and bought some domain names such as parkcu.ca, Park the Energy Credit Union, and some other ones that I don't remember right now. But all of those have been purchased, obviously in preparation for hopefully a successful rebrand. Currently, those domain names redirect to our landing page or about our rebranding. So yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah. So, Hong, in short, if the members are agreeable to Spark the Energy Credit Union, then the new URL or proposed URL would be sparkcu.ca. So keeping it, consistent with shellcu.com, but just changing that to the new name. So for those of you who want more information, sparkcu.ca is the landing page that we're using to house the information along with any of your frequently asked questions. So a reminder, *3 if you have a question. We have Linda who has a question for us. Her question is, what is the expected growth after the name change? Hi, Linda, you're on the line. Do you want to add any more context towards your question?
Yeah, I was just curious, what our projected growth would be and how we would go about estimating that ahead of time to see what the value was.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Linda. Adam, you're a popular guy tonight. I'm going to throw this question to you first, and then Tim, I'm going to have you follow up right after Adam.
Great. Thanks, Linda. Nice to talk to you again. So our estimated growth is just over 2% per year on the assets. And we came up with that estimate. It's a very conservative estimate based on our peers and from a benchmarking perspective where they're growing at a faster rate than we are relative to what we're seeing today, which is an erosion of our asset base of about 2 to 3% per annum. So we're hoping to reverse that and actually increase our asset base. So we feel very comfortable that our growth rate is fairly conservative, but yet it's very achievable. And but I personally think we're going to grow even stronger than that with some of the offerings that we're going to come out with. So thanks very much, Linda, for your question, and we'll see you around.
Thanks, Adam. And this is Tim. So just to add a bit to that is, as part of the whole strategy that we're undertaking with the rebrand, is we have a number of opportunity buckets that we're looking at for how do we take advantage of the environment when we come out with a new name. And so we have taken a look at those activities, what type of growth and expectations do we have from each of those, and that is what's leading to the, as Adam said, a fairly conservative growth rate of 2% per year, and we would hopefully expect to see some higher numbers initially, but over the long term, this 2% is a very reasonable number.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tim. So a reminder that if you have a question, star 3. I see that we have another question on the line. This question is from Scott. So Scott has the question about the rebrand and potential some satellite branches. So Scott, you are on the line with us. What's your question?
Hi, yeah. With this rebrand, and it seems like we're kind of separating a bit more from Shell, are we still keeping like our satellite branches like in the Fort Saskatchewan, Scotford position, and are we still doing like the site visits to the smaller gas plants and such, kind of out of the central Calgary hub?
Thanks so much, Scott. That's an awesome question. I'm going to pass the mic over to Badria.
Hello, Scott. Can I ask, are you in the Edmonton or Fort Saskatchewan area? So we do plan to keep the office open in our Shell Scotford site. That is the plan. We're limited to how many people can come on site. You have to be working at the site to visit it. So our immediate plans would be to relocate that branch into an area that is more accessible by our members. And in the long term, we can certainly consider branch structure at that time, but at this time, we don't have any other plans to grow our branches.
Thank you so much, Badria. As someone who is in communications, I think that there's a very interesting opportunity here to kind of go through a rebrand and see what opportunities are created. So I'm thrilled to hear that doors will stay open and that you guys will continue to look at opportunities for growth. So the next question I have on the line is from Irene. Irene has a question about the rebrand and the name that we chose to go with. So Irene, you're on the line.
Hey guys. I was just wondering why Spark? Why not something different or unusual? Because Spark's been used before. I mean, there's TELUS Spark, there's ABC Spark, so now there's going to be a Shell Spark, you know.
Totally. Thank you so much, Irene, for the question. I'm going to give the opportunity for most of the folks that are on the phone to answer this because I think everyone has a little bit of a unique perspective here. So as per usual, Adam, I'm going to go to you first, and then Tim, feel free to follow up right after him.
Thanks, Irene. Great question. First of all, we came up with a number of names. We did a lot of research on the various names that we can come up with. And Spark really stood out with us, and it will be just Spark, the Energy Credit Union. It won't be a Shell Spark. It'll be just Spark, the Energy Credit Union. And by the way, the acronyms will be the same one as it is today, which is SECU, coincidentally. So although some people may affiliate Spark with the TELUS Spark Center, that is a very different proposition. It's a science and technology conference center, and it's only unique to Calgary. So Spark, for us, the Energy Credit Union, will expand across the energy industry, across Alberta, and it will be unique to credit unions. And we feel with our marketing research that the two will not be associated very much. Also for us, Spark envisions or embodies the vision that you need a spark to enable energy to be useful, to grow, and also to expand membership, financial aspirations. So for us, it embodies a lot of our vision and also embodies what the kind of optimism that we have for this credit union. So we put a lot of thought into it. Also the fonting, the lettering, the naming convention that we use as well seems to fit quite well. So hopefully that helps a bit, and I'll pass it on to everybody else. Thanks for the question, Irene.
Thanks, Adam. With the names, it's always a difficult thing to come up with a new name because we all have favorites in our mind, but at the end of the day, we needed to land on something that would resonate with the crowd or the group of people that we're trying to attract as members. We are focusing on the the employees within the energy industry and their families. And so a name that related to some type of energy is really what we tried to focus on. And it really drives what type of activity do we want, and can we market a name that we have picked? And I think we can. Can we spark people's interest? Can we give a spark to their finances? There was a lot of marketability with this name that really resonated with the group at the committee.
Thanks so much, Tim, for that. Guy, I know you had an interesting perspective on our Future Visions Committee in terms of the name. I'm hoping you can share your experience and what you think of the name now.
Thanks, Christina. Yeah, it's interesting. When we looked at various different names, I came full circle, and like Tim said a moment ago, what convinced me that Spark is the right name is the amount of the depth of that's available in terms of branding and messaging and different forms of communication, such as social media and a lot of the work that went into the color choices was really around, okay, how does that play out on a television screen or on a smartphone or on a website, what have you. So it's got a tremendous amount of depth to it, and I do think it really speaks to the constituency of members that we're trying to attract. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Guy. Talib.
Thanks, Christina. Hey, Irene. Yeah, I think it's a great question. I know you referenced the idea of the originality of it. What I would feel, especially as a young professional on the Future Vision Committee, is that fresh start, that attraction to the membership to join our credit union. As a young professional, I felt Spark is almost that, come join us, give your finances that first start. So I felt it is a little bit original in that way, that it's targeted to attract folks to join our membership base. Thanks, Irene. Thanks, Christina.
Thanks so much. I'll just do the clarification and reminder piece that through the rebranding process, we had a legal team as well as the brand engineering team thoroughly vet the name Spark Energy Credit Union to ensure that we could use it, to ensure that there were no legalities limiting us from that. And there are none. There are no financial institutions by that name. The important thing to remember, too, is someone searching for a financial institution, they're often searching by product or by service or by financial institution in general. They're not going to necessarily search Spark. So keep that in mind. But excellent commentary from some of the voices from our Future Visions Committee. A reminder to everyone on the call that *3 will put you in the queue to answer a question from our team. We've had over 640 attendees tonight. So I just want to thank each and every one of you who are still on the line, who are having this conversation with us. Again, *3 if you have any question at all. So, Stephen, we have a question from you. Your question that you provided the screeners were, under the credit union law, what are the legal requirements to change the name and the mandate? Stephen, do you want to add any commentary around your question?
Yes, I'm just curious as to whether it's a majority vote of credit union members or whether this is a decision that is structured under credit union law in a very specific way.
Perfect. Thanks so much for the question, Stephen. Badria, do you want to take this on up first?
Sure. Stephen, so under the Credit Union Act, we are required to have majority vote on the name change and the change in our mandate. So going from, let's say we were a closed bond credit union, moving on to an open bond credit union. Closed bond credit union is one that deals with a specific industry, such as we are Shell employees credit union, families, and retirees, and then moving on to the broader sector and being able to invite anyone in to enjoy the membership. So the Credit Union Act requires us to get the majority, which is 2/3 of 75 is the minimum number of members that have to be at the meeting to vote. So on June 13th, we're expecting to have at least 75 people, but of course we're striving for more. And we need 2/3 of that number to vote as a yes for us to be able to move forward.
Thank you so much, Badria. Adam, did you want to add anything to that?
I was just going to say, Stephen, that we really wouldn't, even if we did have a choice to do things a little bit differently under the Credit Union Act, we would always go to the members to get their votes, input, and such as this communication tonight, because we really want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with this and has as much information as possible to make a quality decision. And we hope to have a great turnout like we did with our survey last summer. We had over 1,000 people. That's an incredible amount of people. So I really hope that we get a huge turnout for this historic event for us. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Adam, and thanks for that question. So it's time, it's one of my favorite times, time for another poll question. So poll number 3, if you're on the line, if you're supportive of a rebrand that would allow the credit union to market more broadly to ensure growth in the future, press 1. If you are unsupportive of ensuring a broader opening to ensure that growth, press 2. So are you supportive of a rebrand that would allow the credit union to market more broadly to ensure growth in the future? Press 1. Or for no, press 2. Excellent. So again, star 3 is what you hit if you have a question for any of the folks on the phone. We have our next caller, who is Mr. Cuthbert, and he's been waiting a while, so I apologize, Mr. Cuthbert. One of your questions was, what are you going to do to differentiate our new customers from our old ones? Do you want to add any context around your question?
Well, I don't know what you guys are, what you've planned, but I know that you must between what you're loaning money out for and what you're paying investments for. There's a pretty narrow margin in there, and I don't imagine you can't do a lot more than anybody else on that end, I wouldn't think. But what other things have you got? Like, why should I stay with the credit union? Like, other than the fact that I know some of the people there, and I've over 50 years I've had good service. So, but the new, if you're talking to the new guys, in some other company or something, what have you got? What can you offer them?
That's such an excellent question. Thank you so much. I'm going to start by throwing this one to Badria, and then I think Adam and Tim, to warn you, I'd love to hear your perspective on the board after Badria's done.
Hello, Fred. It's great to hear from you. And so what we plan to do is we're establishing a value proposition, and what we want to do is perhaps take a look at the service charges that we're charging right now, and perhaps make some changes there to really attract the younger demographic. We really want to be able to invest in technology so that, again, we can attract people and be more relevant for the future. Another thing that we're looking at is attracting contractors. So we do want to be able to reach out to the energy sector and be a special credit union that can deal with the energy sector, understands the different offerings of the benefit plans and pension plans that some of these companies are offering, and be able to have that intelligent conversation with our members so that we can gain their trust, understand what they do have right now, and be able to give them an offering that really makes sense to them. And so this is where we feel that we can be different, and by being that special credit union, we certainly don't want to open up to the public and compete with the banks down the road. That is not our mandate. So our mandate is to continue to be that special credit union that really understands the membership that we're attracting, and hopefully that will be it, and have branches that are convenient and have the technology that also makes sense.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Badria. Adam, do you have anything to add?
Yes, great question, Mr. Cuthbert. And just to add to Badria's commentary, I mean, we're really happy to hear from you, maybe if you have any suggestions. But I will say this, is some things that won't change is 100% deposit guaranteed, unlimited, which is something that yes, we're competing with other credit unions on the same principle, but the banks can't touch us on that one. But we're going to continue with that. Number two is we're going to have the awesome service you mentioned, and we're going to continue with that. I think it's more than just the service, the friendliness, the facial recognition, and the personal touch. I think it's also when you sit down for a product like a mortgage or whether it's an investment choice, that we're going to do everything that we can for you without being driven by commissions or fees or any of those sorts of things that distract us from making the best quality choice for the member. So we're really going to leverage that because that's one of the things that you told us in the survey and also in our focus groups that we're so good at, and we're going to continue with that. So those are the two things we're going to do, and that's pretty much it on top of what Victoria said. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Cuthbert. Again, just echoing Adam's around. To me, service is number one with us, and through the research, if anything, we're probably best in class amongst even the credit unions in we offer our members today. And I don't think we need to really change what our offering is even to new members, because what it is just allowing new people to come in and experience that same level of service that our existing members today have. And I'm proud of the organization and the service that they give to myself and to my colleagues and members. And I just want to share that with a greater audience. A great question. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So just a reminder, *3 if you have a question, *3. I wanted to share some of the results from some of our poll questions. 93% of you that were on the line that answered our last poll question are supportive of a rebrand that would allow us to market more broadly and ensure growth in the future. So thank you again to everyone who's still on the line. We've had over 640 total attendees tonight. That's wonderful. It shows a really engaged membership base. So again, if you have any questions at all, it's *3. You have, a whole team of awesome individuals here waiting to answer those questions for you. I see Hong, you're back here to ask us a question again, so we're so thankful for that. Your question had to do with attracting more members. So what's your question for us, Hong?
So I have two for you. So first one is, what's your strategy of marketing to extract more members? And the second question, the location that we have now for the credit union is within the Shell building. So now that we have a lot more people, or we want more people to join us, are we going to have either moving outside the Shell building or have more location to support other people? And are you thinking of, expanding the time as well rather than closing at 3?
Perfect. Thank you so much for the question, Hong. 2 questions, I should say. Let's start as a group by biting off the first one. So Hong asked about our strategy for exploring new members. I know that this is a topic that came up time and time again at our Future Visions Committee. So Tim, I'm actually going to start with you. What are your thoughts?
Thanks, Hong, on those questions. Yes, with the ability to market to members, the rebrand is really the step. By having a new name that isn't directly related to an existing oil company allows us the opportunity to approach other entities, whether it be where we've had a number of staff move over through Canadian Natural or Husky or TransCanada. Like we already have a network of companies that we already engage with. Gives us the opportunity to now market the Spark the Energy Credit Union to them. Much easier to open up that conversation than it is today as the Shell Employees Credit Union. So that's step one, and we do have a team that's actually been looking at this a lot closer and then looking at the growth rates. When it comes to, I'm going to touch the second question as well while I've got the time, around the location. Again, the discussions that we've had in the Future Vision Committee is we are looking at location strategies. What are the best ways to expand availability to membership in a reasonable way? So we have a bricks and mortar location in downtown Calgary. Will that continue? We're looking at Scotford or in the Fort Saskatchewan area. Again, it's there, it's existing. We're looking at alternatives to maybe a location, but the plans are still to continue that. But how do we also get into these bedroom communities, either around Calgary or Edmonton, Fort McMurray, Grand Prairie. There's a number of things that we're looking at. So we may not have all the answers today on location, but it is very seriously high on our list to get through. So thank you. Thank you for the questions.
Thanks so much, Tim. Talib?
Thanks, Christina. Hey, Hung. I think it's a great question in terms of attraction. The fact that I'm speaking on this call, the fact that I'm a contractor, I'm a young professional, I was very grateful that they even engaged me. I think attraction is so key. And if you look at the demographics, the fact that I'm here engaging with that name and that rebrand should hopefully give some confidence that the leadership team and the management team is really focused on attracting demographics that aren't necessarily our strong point. So I would add that as commentary to your question as well. Thank you, Hung.
Excellent. So a reminder, *3 if you have any questions for any of the folks on the phone, *3. Let's jump down to another poll question. You guys have been enjoying these. I've been enjoying watching you guys take them. So the next one is really about, are you going to be engaged in our process in terms of our special meeting? So our question for our poll is, what is the likelihood that you will participate in the special meeting vote on June the 13th? If you are planning to attend, please press 1. And if you aren't planning to attend, please press 2. So if you're planning to participate in the special meeting for the vote on the rebrand on June 13th, press 1. And if you are not, please press 2. So, it's been such a fascinating process. I always like being a part of Teletown Halls in terms of getting a group of people together to have a conversation in a conference call that wouldn't likely be able to. So again, I want to thank all 642 of you that have joined into this conversation tonight. My next question is going to be for the group. This is one that I've had on my mind, but what does this potential rebrand do to our relationship with Shell Canada? Adam, I'm going to pass this over to you first as someone who's worked for Shell for a long time. What does this mean for our relationship with Shell?
That's a good question, Christina. So a couple things. One is it would put a lot of burden on us as the board to make sure that we maintain a strong relationship, or an intimate relationship, as I like to call it, with Shell Canada. Now, we've had some discussions with Michael Crothers, the country chair, and a few others at the senior leadership level to just understand what that proposition means. And all of them have indicated support to continue the strong bond that we have, because we have such a large membership that are retirees and that are employees. So at this point, I don't see why that would be unchanged as long as we continue to maintain. But now it also opens up the opportunity to open up that intimacy with an energy company or an energy organization within the oil patch, so including CNRL. Now we have an opportunity to do that as well. So we were able to continue building off this employee value proposition that we've been able to be part of for Shell, and that pride. So we've been all along with that. So at this point, we are assuming, and we're comfortable with the fact that it's going to continue the way it is today, and also that we're going to continue to maintain these strong relationships, and that is one of the key drivers of that, or enablers, is to make sure that we have good board representation from Shell, from the Shell organization. Thanks for the question.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Tim, I know that you guys, as a board and as a management team, were actually able to chat with Michael Crothers as a part of this process. Can you let us know kind of where Michael stood on this, being that he has a pretty significant role at Shell?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Again, this is a different path forward, even for Shell leadership, is because this is a history for us, and we're not going into this lightly, but he completely understands the pressures we're under. As soon as the divestment of the oil sands assets were announced last year, we quickly engaged with the leadership to understand what does this mean for Shell, the organization, and ultimately what does it mean for the credit. And I think just the fact that we are able to continue to keep those lines of communication open and they are available at all times to us to continue. We just need to keep fostering that relationship. And again, we have many members within the leadership team who are members of the union, so they understand both sides of the situation that we're facing.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Tim, for sharing. We have another question on the line. This one is from Laura. Laura's question is about options to attend the meeting. So I think this is a great opportunity, Badria, to discuss the meeting date, the process, and how you guys are setting things up. So Laura, do you have any other specific questions in terms of the upcoming meeting on June 13th?
No, I think that covers it. Just interested if there's virtual options or how folks can attend.
Perfect.
Thank you, Laura, for the question. And this meeting, you have to be there in person to be able to vote. So what we're planning on doing is we've secured a space at the Carriage House, and this is where we hold our annual general meeting. Well, we have for the past several years. And we're also planning a location in the north, so just in Fort Saskatchewan. And we're going to need to stream these meetings, so we'll be able to see each other and have the same discussion at the same locations. But we're required by law to be able to have people come to the meeting, so our members actually physically have to be there. So we plan to hold it in the evening, so it'll be similar to our annual general meeting. Registration will begin at 5, the meeting will begin at 6, and hope to see you there.
Denise, do you have anything to add about the
Yeah.
13th?
So just to add to Badria's point, the meeting that we will be having at Scottsbridge is going to be at the Dow Centennial Center. So we anticipate about 60 to 100 people to come to that event, and hopefully about 200 people here in Calgary at the Carriage House Inn. And again, as Badria mentioned, one of the requirements for a special resolution meeting is to facilitate that conversation and dialogue about the special resolution being voted on. So we want to make sure that we do live stream both locations, and all members at both locations get the benefit of the discussion occurring at the same time. We'll send out invites next week, so I hope you guys RSVP. But yeah, we hope to see most of you there.
Excellent. I know as well that the team will be live streaming this on Facebook, so you won't be able to participate in terms of voting through Facebook, but if you're a member and you're interested and unable to attend, you will be able to see it live there as well. I'm looking forward to having 2 venues live streamed. I think that that's quite progressive and quite interesting that you guys are allowing 2 separate groups of people to come together through video and have a conversation virtually with one another. So, my next kind of reminder to all of you on the phone, we have 10 minutes left in our telephone town hall. Time flies when you're having fun. *3 to get in any of those last questions that you may have. *3. Again, we've had over 640 people on the line tonight. I just want to thank you again for being part of the process, for being an engaged member. It's wonderful. My next question is from Lloyd. Lloyd, your question was about the name. So I think it's excellent that you're asking questions about the name and kind of how we came up with it, but you're on the line.
Oh, I thought you were going to summarize that and summarize my comments. I thought a name, something that would represent the finance banking system, something like Safe and Sure. If you're dealing with a company that's Safe and Sure, you'd be more inclined to deal with that particular company. Spartan kind of is out there. The justifications were very good, and it may be too late to change anything, But that was my thought.
Thank you so much, Lloyd, for the question and for the comments too. I know as being a facilitator on the Future Visions Committee, the folks in that committee had a ton of research thrown at them, but they also had a few different names to consider in terms of what they wanted this to represent. I may kind of just open this up for a few different people. Adam, I'm going to pick on you again, and if you could just talk about the name, what it means for you, and then Tim, then Guy, then Talib, we'll go that way.
Yeah, thanks, Christina. No, I can understand the comments and around providing at least that level of the credit union being a safe and sure place to invest your money. We feel that we've had that branding already based on our survey. However, having said that, definitely enhancing that, hey, we've got your back. And I think the credit union has always been very strong in that department. We've always made sure that the members feel sure and they feel safe, not just besides the deposit guarantee, but the fact that we have a strong board and a strong management team that always ensures every year in and year out that we have very healthy financials, which we have as well. So it's not just a matter of the member feels sure, but also the member feels comfortable that we have a strong credit union. Now, Spark, to me, is an opportunity to awaken the transformation of this credit union into the new energy transformation. And what I mean by that is many companies, particularly the multinationals, such as Shell, are going through a major transformational change in their product offering and how they deliver energy to customers. And of course, it's a low carbon economy. So without going into too much about the Shell strategy or other company strategy, the credit union has an opportunity too as well to transform itself. And in order to transform itself, the catalyst is a spark. So this is why I like about it is it's gonna be a spark to provide you a very sound financial plan for your money, or a very competitive lending product for you that fits your family or your needs specifically as an individual. But it's very, very niched into the energy market or the energy professional segment. So I think everybody in the energy segment can identify with a spark, particularly if you're in the manufacturing refining side of things. But even if you're in the the upgrading side or you're at a gas plant, everybody knows what a spark looks like and what it can do. So we really think that the spark will really enhance what we've always been strong at, and we're just going to keep growing from there. So that's what spark means to me. Thank you.
Hi, this is Tim. I think I'll jump in on this as well. Lloyd, thank you for your comments. And I completely resonate with your idea around the finance banking system or something supportive to that. And as we went through the name choices that were presented to us, we as an entire committee did talk about what are the positives, what are the negatives with these names, what's our initial reaction, how does it make us feel? And at the end of the day, we did narrow it down to this one, again, with the comments that Adam had around what type of energy does the name create and what type of marketing capabilities can we have with it. It really allows us to catch people's attention, but then below that, we have our mission and our values that have not changed for the union. That's what differentiates us and makes us secure from other financial institutions. That's what gives comfort to our members as to who are we for, why do we do this, what do we offer you? And so it came to how can we get people's attention to show them what we can offer them. So it was a great challenge, and I completely understand how you're feeling with some name choices. But thank you.
Thanks so much, Tim. Guy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just thinking about it from the standpoint of what I observed in terms of the engagement of the management and staff of the credit union, and that, I'll use the word energy that I saw. I think it's going to be the name change is an enabler and a catalyst for the staff of the credit union to get out and engage with members. I saw just a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and desire to be able to engage with more members. And I didn't say it in my introduction, but I did a number of reorganizations, was deeply involved in a number of reorganizations and new organization startups when I was at Shell. And it's not always the case that there's usually a pretty good cadre of people that are not that keen. And you know, I've seen just universal energy and enthusiasm for moving forward with a broader constituency. Thanks for the question.
Thanks, Guy. Tilly?
Hey, Lloyd. I think I would resonate with what everybody also said around the notion of making sure that it feels safe and sure when you're banking here. And I would also add, you know, the second part of the name as well, right? So when we look at Spark, the Energy Credit Union, I'd almost put forward that the energy and the credit union component is also giving, in my opinion, that comfort that, you know, we're still serving the energy industry. The energy industry is very alive and well. And the fact that we've kept the credit union in our tagline, to me, hopefully it feels that resonation of the security around what we're still keeping in the name. Thank you, Lloyd.
Awesome question, Lloyd. I'll remind.
It's Guy again.
Go ahead, Guy.
I wanted to pick up on what Talib was saying. One other element, when we looked at other financial institutions, both credit union and non-credit union, the sizing of the words the energy credit union is also a differentiator. So that if you look at other brands, I think that the Energy Spark, the energy credit union, stands out as being a complete package as opposed to just the word Spark.
Totally. Great point,
Thanks.
Guy. The other point I'll just remind everyone of is the importance of taglines. So we've proposed the first tagline for Spark, the Energy Credit Union, to be energy for your money. So if you think about that as a part of a campaign, as a part of almost an explainer of what that name actually means, there's lots of things we can do there. So again, excellent question. I've opened up another poll for us, so there's still lots of people on the line. Thank you for being part of this conversation. Would you vote in support of changing our name to Spark, the Energy Credit Union? If you would, press 1. If you wouldn't, press 2. And if you're still undecided, press 3. So we're really excited to see your responses to this one. We have time for one final question. This one's from Corey, and it has to do with eating. So I had to get to this one because we're hitting 7:30 and I'm getting hungry, guys. So, Corey, you're on the line. Question.
Hello.
Hi, Corey.
Sorry, I'm working here. My reception's intermittent. So I just thought what probably everybody wonders if it was supposed to be like a general meeting. The annual general meeting, is there a meal included at the vote?
Perfect. Thanks. Go ahead. Do you have another question?
The other question I had, or just a point, I remember at the last annual general meeting that the color scheme was difficult to make out on the overhead. And I don't know if you guys have looked at that since then, or if it was it just washed out, especially for my parents, who also have been members for years and years and then brought me in. They couldn't make out the wording. And so that was difficult for them. So that should be a consideration that, you know, things are visually able to be read. And then another thought, I guess, was your tagline. You reminded me, it can be taken a couple ways. You know, it can be energy for your money, like your money is being put to work, which I think is your intention, but it can also be a trade. We'll do a dance for you, you know, energy for money. You know, it's a trade transaction. And so do think of the other ways you can read that tagline. So I wasn't sure the tagline was necessarily right because it could be interpreted multiple ways.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Corey. Thanks for your question. I'm going to tackle the tagline one quickly, just knowing that we don't have too much time left in our town hall. Remember, taglines are never used void of an advertising campaign. So that advertising campaign would always work to inform your tagline. So the image you see should speak to energy for your money. If it's an ad in a newspaper, you would have some context around it. So definitely, Corey, smart idea, and we will pay attention to that as we look forward to marketing and making sure we're pairing the right images with that tagline of choice. In terms of the AGM process and kind of agenda, I'm going to pass it over to Badria, and she can speak to the agenda for the evening.
Thanks, Corey, for your question. So what we plan to do at the special meeting is we're going to bring in some experts to make sure that we have the right technology and we have the proper connection so that the colors are appropriate and the screens are easier to see. As for the meal, we plan to keep it really light, so we're going to be serving some refreshments and some hors d'oeuvres and snacks, but we're definitely going to be staying away from a heavy meal at this meeting. So I hope you and your parents will be there, and that should take care of all the meeting details, I think, for now, and more will come to you by newsletter or by mail.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Badria. Wanted to share with you guys the results of our last poll. So you'll remember the poll question is, would you vote in support for changing our name to Spark the Energy Credit Union? 80% of you on the call have said yes, that you would support that. So thank you so much for voting this evening. Thank you so much for being on the line. I see that there are a couple names still in the queue. Unfortunately, we're already over time, but rest assured, the management team and the board and our members of the Future Vision Committee that are here with us are committed to getting back to every single question. So if you're still on the line and you have that question and you're in our queue, our screeners will get those to us and we'll be able to follow up with you directly, either by email or by phone. And also, you'll have the opportunity at the end of this call to leave us a message with any of your questions or concerns. So again, I want to thank all of you for being on the call. Adam, Tim, Guy, Talib, Badria, Bruce, Denise, it was a big crew tonight, but I'm so appreciative of their time. I'm so appreciative of the 642 attendees from the Shell Employees Credit Union that came out tonight. And I'm really excited by the fact that 80% of you, by the end of this phone call, are pretty excited about Spark the Energy Credit Union too. So with that, I will say good night, and I'm sure that we will talk with all of you again soon. Thanks for joining us.